Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Morena in Japan. I know this video, like at least the title, kind of is a little strange, and I know a lot of you are gonna be like, wow, now the randomized sim is coming to preach to us about, sex positivity and the dangers of it. And obviously, I get your kind of confusion, but just go ahead and hear me out in this video because obviously we've come a really long way from the past videos that most of you have subscribed for. So let's go ahead and get started into the topic and what I'm actually going to speak about today, because I feel like this is a lot more important than the past videos. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm basically going to be talking about modern, you know, sex positivity and, the new wave of feminism coming through that encourages, the normalization of sex, which I obviously agree with. I think that's a great thing to do. But I feel like it's not being implemented properly, and the message isn't being received well by, teenagers and, 18, 17 to 19-year-old girls, when we absolutely don't know what the fuck we're doing. So I went ahead and I'm gonna break it down kind of into 4 categories of what we're gonna be talking about when we're talking about sex positivity, and that's going to be, accessibility, your mental state and appropriateness, in addition to, comfort. What I'm saying when I'm talking about accessibility is when I'm talking about access to healthcare and access to, having safe sex. Are you are you getting tested regularly? Do you have access to condoms? Do you have access to lube? Do you have access to whatever you need in that situation where you will find yourself having, healthy contact? Like, you're not uncomfortable, you're not wishing that it was over, you're in a safe space where you're not going to get caught fucking in your parents' bed, being uncomfortable as fuck because he can't get it in because you're literally writhing in pain, you know, fucking raw, which is just not it. You should never do that. Or just not being able to get tested regularly, or after you switch partners, or if you're engaging in, with multiple people. So that's the question. Like, are you able to provide yourself with everything that you need in order to engage in this activity safely without having to worry about absolutely anything? Like, are you really living your best life, sis? If you are, going into sex with the danger in kind of like in the back of your mind, like, what am I gonna gain from this besides the fact that I'm just in it for fun? And it's supposed to be fun, but you're not supposed to be worrying about everything in the back of your mind of just like, oh no, what if I get pregnant? Oh no, what if I get fucking chlamydia? Like, think about what you're doing before you actually, engage in this. And I feel like this should be obvious, but at the same time, like, in the moment, you're just kind of you're literally in the moment. You don't want to think about these things. You kind of just brush it aside, and you're like, oh, it's gonna be fine. It's just sex. What are we doing? And for me, sex isn't really that important when it, like, in, I don't have a lot of heavy, attachment to it. I don't, I won't fall in love with whoever I fuck or whatever the fuck. And that's completely fine. That's normal. And when I'm talking about comfort, are you comfortable in this situation? Are you doing this to prove something to yourself or to others? Like, for me, it was never about proving myself to other people. It was about proving something to myself, and like kind of like an internal battle of just like, yeah, if you're such a bad bitch, like, if you're whatever, if you're this or you're that, like, you should be able to do this. You should be able to engage yourself in this or push yourself to the next level. Like, it was always about, like, just leveling up and being able to do something that I wasn't comfortable doing. And that's not okay, and that's not safe or healthy. It's not it's not a healthy relationship for yourself, and it's not a healthy relationship for whoever you're fucking. And if this person that you're fucking is a stranger, they should absolutely, accept your boundaries, and you should talk about them before, before you end up traumatizing yourself or traumatizing your partner. Because like, the amount of trauma that I'm about to kind of have by the time that I'm, like, literally going to turn 20 this year, and the fact that I, constantly put myself in dangerous situations just to fuck, is absolutely not okay. And I feel like it's absolutely not my fault either, especially when this kind of, if I'm talking about this as a whole, that this idea has been ingrained in so many people's minds at a young age where, women are supposed to do a certain thing in order to make other people feel good and put our comfort to the side. And that's basically what I'm talking about when I'm talking about comfort. So, yeah. And the next thing that I really want to talk about is your mental state when we're talking about sex positivity. Obviously I struggle with a multitude of mental illnesses where, especially with like BPD, the whole sex craze thing was a huge part of, the illness itself, where I would literally just, whenever I was bored or whenever I just felt myself spiraling, I was just like, let's go suck a dick. And like, I didn't regret, like, I still don't regret, like, the amount of partners that I've had in the past. Like, I really don't give a fuck. But are we engaging in this activity because we feel sad or because we feel lonely? And are we engaging in this activity as an act of self-harm to ourselves? That's a really good question to ask yourself before you engage in this activity. Yeah, that's basically what I'm talking about when I'm talking about mental, like, what are you thinking as you're gonna do this? Like, are you okay? Like, are you gonna start like crying while you're fucking? Like, girl, what are you thinking? The next thing that I'm gonna be talking about is age and, like, appropriateness. When I was 18, I was doing things that I wouldn't approve of now. I feel like as an 18-year-old, 18, 19, even 17, you have absolutely no business with someone that is basically like 30 or even like 27 or whatever. Like, you have no business there whatsoever. Even if you're a consenting adult, what on earth would you have in common, mentally, emotionally, physically, or even sexually with a man who is far above your age group? It's not really something to brag about. I promise you that no one really cares. And it's, it's more of a kind of like a predatory thing, where what business does that person have with you outside, like, behind these closed doors even, like, what would you have in common? And even if you are a consenting adult, it's important to kind of question these things of why can't they have someone their own age to engage in this activity, and why does the idea of having someone younger than them turn them on? That's a really, really huge red flag that I think we should pay attention to. And I feel like you really need to keep yourself safe in these situations, because I feel like this can be extremely traumatizing, and you really need to pay attention to your mental health at this time, especially if you're going to, go out and do that with someone that's way older than you, because, like, that's just not okay. It's not healthy. I'm not saying this in a way to shame anyone. Like, there's absolutely no shame if you've had this happen to you before, but it's kind of like a warning, like, this isn't healthy and it's not something that you should be doing, is what I'm saying. So I'm talking about my own experience. I don't have any shame or hatred or anything towards myself. It's just, I wish I could grab my past self by the shoulders and just be like, stop, in a sense, because it would have been so much more worth it if I didn't do that, is what I'm saying. If we're talking about women in sex work and women that are, 18, 19, barely starting in, their career of sex work, I absolutely support and appreciate the people that are involved, but make sure that you are, like, surrounding yourself with people that are going to keep you safe and keep you healthy throughout this time of you being in this career. The amount of friends and the amount of people that are in sex work that I engage in often talk about, their experiences of when they've been traumatized, or, if just their own trauma of, it might have not even been assault or anything of this, like, of the sort, but just, gaslighting, manipulation, exploitation. It is, it's a really rough business, just like any other business. I really just hope that young girls kind of get this message that you really need to pay attention to your own mental state and your own comfort when you're going to be engaging, like, in this sort of activity. So yeah, this is just me talking from past experiences and from DMs that I've gotten from my subscribers and from my followers about my experiences with this. So yeah, by all means, suck a dick, but suck a dick with consent, safely, and in your best mind. So yeah, gang gang. All right, make sure to like and subscribe, and comment down below your own views on this. But keep in mind that if there's any sort of shaming or any sort of like just negativity in the comments, it will most likely be taken down, because no one really wants to read that, especially if we're not really here to support each other. So yeah, okay, bye guys.